Hi, my name is Margarita, and I want to talk to you guys about week 39 of my pregnancy and labor. So, like I told you guys before in the previous weeks, I wasn't able to sleep very well. I would only sleep for an hour and go to the restroom, and then it would repeat until I got over it. And like around 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, okay, I think I got enough sleep, and then it would repeat the next night. And it was annoying. I was getting heartburn pretty bad, and I wasn't able to eat a lot. I would only be able to eat small meals just because being that heavily pregnant, I didn't have enough room for my stomach anymore, so I was only able to eat a little bit. So it was kind of annoying, and I was still taking stool softeners, and by that time I was already just over being pregnant. I wanted to give birth soon. I was like, get this baby out of me. And so when I went to the OBGYN, I asked her to give me a membrane sweep, and where they just go in and separate the membrane a little bit, and it's supposed to initiate labor. And she told me, hey, it's gonna be painful. I told her I don't care. I'm already uncomfortable. I'm already in pain, like back pain and just overall uncomfortableness. Like my muscles were hurting, just part of my belly is just, I was already over it. So she did it, and I was glad. By that point, I started my pre-pregnancy at around 150, and I ended up being 195 at the end. So I gained 45 pounds. Yeah, the recommended 30, and I went past that, but oh well. And so I was told that when because I got the membrane sweep, that it wouldn't be a surprise if I saw some blood. So I did later on that day, and of course I was like, you know what, they told me that this is going to happen, and they did inform me that if contractions started and if my water broke, then I needed to go to the hospital or I needed to call them. So I was like, okay. So, and then of course this happened, my appointment was on Thursday, and I was supposed to be induced on Sunday at 4:30. So yeah, and then but let's dial it back a little bit. So on Friday, when my friend Sarah came, and so did my friend Tanya, but my friend Sarah actually was able to stay here at our house, which is great. I got to see her for a little bit. And on Saturday, we walked through 3 different stores. We walked through Target, Half Price Books, and Ollie's Bargain Outlet. And it was a lot of walking. It felt great. And later on that night, we ate dinner around 10. And then when we came back home, we watched an episode of the BBC version of Pride and Prejudice, and then decided to go to sleep. And of course, I always need to shower before I sleep, so I go and shower, and when I'm done, I'm toweling myself off, and I have a seat in my shower where you can sit down and, of course, shower where you're sitting. But I use it to dry my legs because, of course, being so pregnant, I can't bend over that well to reach my entire leg. So I prop my leg up, I'm drying my leg, and my water breaks. And it felt like I peed. And it wasn't as dramatic as what you see in the movies, where it's just like a giant and there's a bunch of water. It was a little bit, like a little trickle. And at first I was like, did I pee? And I don't remember pushing to pee. And I'm like, oh no, my water broke. And then as I looked down, there was, of course, blood. I'm like, okay. Interesting. And we had all tried going to sleep. My husband and was already trying to get into deep sleep. I felt bad for him. And like I said, my friend Sarah was staying over, so I think she was about to go to sleep too. And I decided to call the practice. And yes, I know it was almost midnight, but they always have an on-call physician, and they'll leave the number, you need to call the on-call physician. Here is blah, 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 blah. And so I called, and I told them my water broke, and I'm a first-time mom, or this is my first pregnancy. And they just told me, just go to the hospital. You need to go via the ER section to actually go into the labor and delivery, because of course it being so late, they actually closed some of the entrances. So I was like, okay. So I go wake up my husband, and I feel bad for him because he hadn't slept, and so, but he got everything ready. He got my hospital bag and the car seat. He got everything into the car while I put on clothes because, like I said, I just showered, and I told my friend Sarah that she could sleep here at the house, and just to lock the door as she went out. She left, and that was it. And of course, we're all like really excited. I was really excited because I was like, finally, this baby's coming out of me. I'm really uncomfortable, but still, like, so we ended up going to the hospital. Weirdly, I went through 3 rooms during the entire delivery. But like I said, we go through the ER entrance, then we go to the 2nd floor to see for the labor and delivery, and we actually get there, right? And they get us into our room. And when we're there, they check me, and they're like, "Oh, you pretty much just ruptured the sac." Okay, not a complete water break, but that's why I was leaking. I was like, great. But still. And then they checked me, and they're like, "You're barely 2 centimeters dilated." Okay, so we're gonna be here for a while. But when the doctor checked me to check for the dilation, oh my god, did it hurt. Like, I don't know if she was wearing rings, I don't know if she had nails. Like, my own OBGYN usually has a hard time reaching up to check to see how dilated I am, but it was just extremely painful. And then the doctor apologized, but I was crying because, like I said, it hurt that much. And it's weird because when my doctor did it, it didn't hurt that much, actually, at all. So I'm like, I don't know, but still. But she did tell me that even though my water broke and everything, and my body was preparing for labor, I might not be able to deliver like quickly, and I could be there for like days. And I'm like, oh, great. So they start calling the on-call OBGYN from the practice, and around, I think 3, they tell me that they recommended to induce, which was to give me the Pictosin to accelerate my labor. And I was feeling a little bit of contractions, but it was barely anything. I felt like minor period pain, and I was like, whatever. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I don't want to be here for days. I would like to give birth today. So I was like, you know what, fine, give me the Pictosin. And they gave me a lot of IV bags, like, throughout the entire thing. I didn't drink water once, like, prior to delivering. So, and then I tried sleeping, but I couldn't, because at that point my contractions started getting like a lot more painful, and yeah, I couldn't sleep at all, and I was dying of sleep. I had been up for more than 16 hours, and I think I was going to like 20 hours at that point, so it was really uncomfortable. And then around 10-11, they asked me, hey, do you want to get an epidural? And I was like, yes. Not even a question, yes. And so I had to wait until the anesthesiologist came. And I never knew that when you had contractions that your body would shake. Apparently it's just from all the hormones racing through your body to get ready for labor that your body shakes. I was shaking like I was cold, like shivering, like it was weird. I had never heard of that. And so yeah, and like I said, my contractions were so painful, I was crying, and I was telling my husband, like, this is the only child we're having, like, it's so painful, I don't ever want to do this again. And then when the anesthesiologist came, the doctor, or not the doctor, the nurse had me hunched over, and of course the back of my hospital gown was open, and I swear, not even the epidural, but he put like a numbing agent on my back, and that was a huge relief. Like, oh, I was like, oh, okay, my contractions weren't that bad when he gave me that, but then he did the epidural, and that's when things got really good. And I know there's a lot of people who are like, no, I want it natural. I don't want to be induced or to have an epidural. But wow, it was just amazing. Like, it went from my pain being, and I have a high pain tolerance, but it went from being like a 9-10 pain to like a 6 within a minute. And it was just instant relief once he was able to get everything for the epidural. And then, of course, within 5 minutes, my legs were numb. I couldn't feel contractions anymore, and I was able to pass out. I don't even know how long, really. I think, so if they did it at 10, it was till like 1, I woke up, and then that's when they told me, hey, you are almost 10 centimeters dilated, so we're going to have you start pushing. It's like, okay, I got some rest, so I was like, okay, I'm ready. And they told me you're gonna be pushing, but not to push out the baby completely. It's pushing to get the baby in position. So apparently, this is your pelvis. They want the baby's head to like lock right here behind it, and or in front of it actually, because I'm trying to come out this way. So in front of it, and then when the baby's here, that's when they call the doctor. So they're there, and they tell me, okay, so they get my legs, my knees propped up forward, and oh, I forgot, by this time I'm already like in another room. I'm like in the labor room. I'm just weird. Why they did that, I don't know why they kept moving me rooms, but I was in the labor room. I forgot to say that, but yeah, I was in the labor room with my husband, and he was on my side. He did not want to see anything in that area at all. And yeah, throughout this entire thing, I forget about him completely because, well, I'm experiencing all this stuff, right? So my knees are of course bent, and I can't feel anything. I can't feel contractions, so I don't even know when to push. And they tell me, okay, there's handlebars on the side of the bed. You need to grab onto them, and you need to push. And so they would tell me when a contraction started. They would look at the monitor and like, okay, you have a contraction. And so I would push for 10 seconds, 3 times. And then I was able to relax until the next contraction. And this went on for about an hour to get baby into position. And I will tell you that I didn't even feel like I was pushing. I was just like, again, everything was numb. So it was like, I thought I did what I could to mimic pushing as much as I could, like without being able to feel it. It was weird, but still, I did what I needed to get baby in position. And then finally, when he was, they called a doctor. And again, throughout every single contraction at this point, even though I had slept through my previous contractions that I couldn't feel them, when I was actually pushing, the shivering came back, which is weird. And then I was actually pretty nauseous. Like, I'd be pushing, and then I was like, and I hadn't eaten in hours. And like I said, they had given me so many IV bags, so I hadn't drank any water in hours. So they had given me a bag, but the position I was in, I wasn't actually able to throw up. And so the doctor comes in, and I start pushing, I guess you could say, for real. And I think within 3 contractions, he did, my baby did pop out of my body, and I did feel that, like, not pain-wise, but I felt the release of pressure. Like, I felt like there was something there, and then finally it was gone, and I was like, baby's out. And then he started crying, and one of the 3 contractions, contracting, pushing, I did throw up. Not a lot. I only threw up a little bit. Like I said, the position I was in, didn't allow me to throw up a lot. It was like, it kind of like prevented me from fully throwing up. It was weird, and apparently it's common. But whatever. Like I said, he came out of my body, and big boy. They did do an episiotomy down there, so that means that they cut from vagina all the way to my butt hole. So yeah, in order to ease out the baby a little bit more, because he wasn't small. He ended up being 8 pounds 11 ounces. Yeah, I've had the bigger baby in my family. Like, even my younger sister, who was past her due date, didn't weigh as much as my son, which is great. Fun, right? And then pretty much right when he came out, his eyes were already open. I was officially 39 weeks and 4 days when I delivered, so almost completely to my due date, right? It was interesting though, and like I said, his eyes were awake. They're like, and then all the nurses were like, "Oh my God, his eyes are awake. Look at his eyes are almond shaped, and that's pretty much what mine are." And you can already tell that they were brown. My husband's eyes are green. Oh, my baby, he's coughing. Sorry, I'm seeing him in the monitor. He's fine. He's just gonna go back to sleep. And oh, maybe not. No, yeah. I don't know sometimes. And so his eyes were already open, and yeah, and then my husband took a picture of him holding his he was holding his finger, and it was super cute. And of course, after delivery, they sewed me back up, and then I didn't notice when my placenta came out, to be honest, at all. And we stayed there for about 3 days after total. So on the first day, they tested him for jaundice, and they told us, well, he does have jaundice, so you're gonna have to stay here an extra night. And that wasn't fun. And then we opted for the Billy lights. That was the worst experience ever. Up all night, he was crying his eyes out. The only thing that really saved our sanity was a portable sound machine I brought. But he's so funny. He went back to sleep. Not before making a lot of noise. Oh yeah, and then so after I delivered, of course I was still numb, so they took me off of the medication for the epidural, and so slowly my legs, I started feeling my legs again, and then when I could fully feel them again, I forgot to say that they put a catheter in me. Before, I think right after I got my epidural, they put it in, and now that I was feeling my legs, they took it out, and then 2 nurses came in to help me go to the restroom. Actually just pee for the first time. So that was interesting. So they helped me in there. I had this huge pad on me when I was in bed to help pretty much collect as much blood from post-delivery as possible. I don't know if you heard that, but he farted so hard. Yeah, he pooped too. So that's probably why he was being fussy right now. And it looks like he went back to sleep. He just needed to poop. Babies, right? So yeah, and then so these 2 nurses helped me go to the restroom. They had me sit down, and they tell me, can you pee? And then pretty much I had to pee, and then I actually had to really try. I want to pee a little bit, and so I'd have to move my body in order to release the rest of my pee. It was kind of annoying. And then they gave me a squirt bottle and they filled it up with warm water, and I would squirt down there, and then of course pat dry, and they gave me this huge pad which had an ice pack on it, which I hated that ice pack. I don't like cold anything down there. And then they also gave me the Dermaplast, which was amazing, and put it all together, and then I went back to bed. And then eventually they moved me to the next room, which was the post-delivery room, which had a more comfortable bed. Yeah. And then of course I tried sleeping after all of that, and it was the worst because they would wake me up when I would finally go to sleep, like after I had put the baby down to sleep, and then they'd come in and be like, oh, you need to take your medication, or we need to take your vitals. Just like, I just want to sleep. And so I was like dying of sleep. Those the days we were there. Maybe. And we did opt to do a circumcision so early just because it's easier to take care of. And I know a lot of women are like against it. It's just what my husband and I agree on, and it was our choice. So if you don't like it, that's your opinion, but we were okay with it. And so they did that while we were there. They told us how to take care of it. They told us that we couldn't give him a bath until the umbilical cord came off, but that was if we didn't do the circumcision. But since we did, we had to wait until the little ring came off his penis before we can give him a full bath. So yeah, and they told me about all this other stuff. We gave him the vitamin K shot, everything that he needed. I was like, you know what, just yes, you can do it. Like, I know you guys know what you're doing, sign here, whatever. And then I feel bad for my poor husband. He slept in the most uncomfortable bed ever. So yeah, let me go get him. He's being fussy. Pretty much just wants to be held at this point. And he has one of the Love the Dream swaddles. And right now, as I'm filming this, I'm already 4 weeks postpartum, and this is a medium. And I did get him a small, and I grew the small pretty quickly. But that's for the next video, right? But yeah, and them waking me up was not fun during that time. And so we were pretty much like, can we go now? For the entire thing. And we took pictures with the baby, and yeah. We did tell all our family not to visit us during our hospital stay. We made that quite clear because like my family has to travel like 3 hours to see me, and his parents do live in town, and I just didn't want it to be like, I don't know. And then they told us that only one person could be there, so I was like, you know what, just tell them that no one can come in except for you. And so we decided that, I know, baby. And so yeah, let me switch you. So yeah, and this is baby Darian. I really don't want to put his face anywhere on the internet until, actually probably ever, until he wants to do it when he's older. I'm so happy. But yeah, I mean, and I pretty much forgot about the nurse and the consultant who helped me figure out how to breastfeed. That completely went over my head. So I gave birth on a Sunday, and so of course consultants don't come during weekends. So I had a nurse come through, and they pretty much know almost as much as the consultants do. So the nurse taught me how to latch, get a baby to latch, and how to breastfeed. But for some odd reason, my son just he would latch and then he would let go, and that was just constant. And he would get frustrated, I would get frustrated. But that was pretty much the first like 3 days I had that, right? But I am able to produce breast milk, which is great. But like I said, I think he might have a tongue tie. I know, baby. Right now he's trying to poop, so he'll be uncomfortable for a while. But yeah, so during the hospital stay, I did breastfeed as much as I could, and my husband did all the diaper changes when we were there. It was so nice of him. Like, I was already on pain pills at that time, but still it was very uncomfortable for me to get up and tried grabbing him. So my husband took care of all of that, which I really appreciated at that time because I was already in so much pain. And then after delivery, my stomach was around, everyone says it's around 6 months pregnant, but I was really big. I ballooned up pretty fast. So for me, it was like more like 4 or 5 months pregnant, or how big I looked at the time. But yeah, I mean, I was still pretty big, but I was big at that 4-month mark too. So yeah, I'm trying to think of what else happened when we were there. I think I wrote it down here somewhere. I think that's it. And then my husband brought up the car seat because we do have a base there in the car. And they let us leave with the baby, which was great. And he was born with a full head of hair. Not as much as some of the other children that are playing the internet. But yeah, like he brought it up, got everything put together into our bags, and yeah, like I had our going home outfits and stuff. Yeah, like I didn't even take pictures of our going home outfits. I was at that time I was just like, I want to go home. Yeah. Still, I'm really happy. He's finally out of me. He's huge, and can't wait for the next couple months where his personality really shows, and I can actually sleep a lot more. But more on my first 4 weeks, which I will be documenting after this video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.